From the Penn Libraries.
So our next speaker is Lucas Siegmund, who is a senior majoring in PPE. He's also the chair of SKU, which is the Educational Policy Branch of Student Government. He's going to talk a little bit about some of the things SKU has done, including work in the collaborative classroom, which you heard about earlier, and also work with science classes that are working with collaborative environments.
Hi. Okay. So I'm Lucas. I'm the chair of the Student Committee on Undergraduate Education, and as Peter mentioned, we're the Academic Policy Branch of Student Government. So I know last year my predecessor, Michelle Ho, came to speak here, and part of the really exciting activity that was going on at that time was the launching of the collaborative classroom, which was in construction at that point, and it opened up in the beginning of last spring. So I'll talk a little bit about the classrooms, but more importantly, I want to talk about kind of where we're moving forward in this area of technology and how it relates to innovative learning, pedagogy, all of those things. And part of that is SKU is about to release our 2015 white paper report, which is a policy report that we write every 5 years, evaluating the university. And one of the major topics for this year is how to learn in the information age, how we can use new technologies and new thinking and ways of viewing our education to improve the way that students learn. So this is a picture of the collaborative classroom. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. It's in Van Pelt, back towards Weigel Commons. It's probably the coolest classroom on campus. And when the collaborative classroom came about, it was at a time when Penn was starting to really rethink how we learn and how we educate. And this whole student active in-class learning initiative was sort of getting some legs. And this was really the first example of Penn using technology and linking it with this active in-class learning attempt to improve the way students learn. And since then, we've seen a few more classrooms come online. There's one in Arch, there's one in DRL, there's one in the Vagilis building. And I think it's a real experiment in what education means and how the world moving forward can better educate students. And some of the stuff that we've been doing on SKU is look at how it's working and how these kinds of classes are succeeding. So one of the most popular models that's used in these active learning classes is the flipped classroom model, which is where you go in, or where a professor creates a video, posts the video up online, you watch it at home, and then you come into the classroom and do problems, discuss a reading, write about issues, and then work with other students in your class to think through challenging problems, to get advice from TAs and faculty. And some of the things we've been seeing from these classes is that some of the things are working really well. So students love the fact that they get to engage with their faculty. Students love the fact that they have the opportunity to get immediate feedback on the types of problems they're working on, which is all available because faculty don't have the kind of barrier of needing to actually lecture to students in real time, so they can save their time for real education, the kind of in the weeds work that you do when you're working through challenging issues. But some of the challenges to it are how effective are the videos when students are at home and aren't able to actually engage with their faculty in real time with the material they're presenting, right? You can't ask questions when you're sitting at your laptop. Also, how likely are you to sit there and watch an hour and a half lecture in front of your computer screen when you have all of these things in your room with your friends running down the hall and you have all these things distracting you? So some of the ideas that kind of come about are shortening lectures, which the Coursera model does a lot of this, very short lectures, which allow you to focus intensely for a short period of time and then reflect on the material by doing problems. Finding ways to engage with faculty online while you're doing this. So I know there's some classes that are run, particularly philosophy class I can think of, where the class is all online, and as you watch the lecture, you can write in questions, and TAs will be able to respond immediately to those questions. And the professor I'm thinking of uses Google Plus actually as a way to run this, but there are a bunch of different platforms that can be used for this kind of model. So these are all the sorts of things that technology can use, but I think one of the coolest things is we don't really know where any of this is going, and it's all very new and very experimental, but students are really excited about it and really interested in seeing what happens. One of the less exciting aspects of this is because it's so new and so different, it's also scary. So we've had a lot of students who enter these kind of flipped classroom type of classes and don't really know what's going on because it's not the image they had of college, it's not the image they had of education, and so they're intimidated. So part of the job of faculty, of SKU, of the university on the whole, is to help encourage students to continue to try these new experimental models because all the data shows they will work. In the long run, they will work, but we need people to be willing to buy into them and to do something new so that we can actually see where this goes, which is pretty great. I guess there are a couple other things along this issue, but I think the more interesting part would be like what questions you guys have. I'm sure many of you are thinking about these types of issues in your own classes with your own students. So it would be great to hear any questions you have, and I can share any other kinds of thoughts that SKU may have on this issue. Thanks.
Great.